The insincerity of a man, what he arrests down. Once upon a time, nearly 6 days to the great Passover event, Jesus went to the home of Lazarus that he once raised from the dead in Bethany. And there, a woman called Mary took a whole bottle of an expensive perfume and poured it on Jesus' feet and wiped it with her hair. While this was happening, one of Jesus' disciples, named Judas Iscariot, raised an eyebrow, saying, "Why wasn't this perfume sold for 300 silver coins and the money given to the poor?" Beloved, if anyone had seen Judas Iscariot when he said this, one would have thought that he said this because he deeply cared for the poor. But of a truth, he cared less about the poor. Who would have thought that he only said this because he was a thief who was in charge of the money purse and would help himself with whatever was left in it? John chapter 12 verses 1 to 6. A similar narrative occurred at a time when David, on the instruction of his father, went to check out the welfare of his brothers and the Israelite army at the battlefield. Anyone who saw Eliab, David's eldest brother, scolding David for neglecting his father's flock in the wilderness just so he could loiter around the battlefield for nothing, would have thought that Eliab was genuinely concerned about his father's flock. How far from the truth can that be? Eliab was merely speaking out of bitterness, jealousy, and self-intimidation. 1 Samuel chapter 17 verse 28. Moreover, at another time, King Saul announced to David, "Behold my elder daughter, Merab, how will I give to thee to wife? Only be thou valiant for me, and fight the Lord's battles." What more would have portrayed the heights of love, acceptance, and admiration that a king had for a poor young lad like David? David himself was so elated that he began to say, "Who am I, and what is my life, or my father's family in Israel, that I should be son-in-law to the king?" 1 Samuel chapter 18 verse 18. No one would have imagined that the words of King Saul, that was presumed to be words of love and acceptance, were actually uttered to end the life and destiny of David. 1 Samuel chapter 18 verse 17. What then is my message? The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Jeremiah chapter 17 verse 9. And until you know the intentions behind every word you hear and every so-called kind gesture tabled before you, you might be sitting on a gunpowder without knowing. Everything you hear is not everything that was said. Anything you receive may not be the totality of all that was given. Beyond the words on the lips of a man are words on the heart of the same man, which may be left unuttered throughout a lifetime. Behind every visible thing around a man are invisible things you may not be seeing. And until you hear and see beyond the audible and visible dimensions of a man, you can neither claim full knowledge of the man nor his words. Our biological ears and eyes are limited in what it hears and sees. The words you hear may sound good, but what about the unuttered words of the heart? What you see might be beautiful, but how about the possible ugliness of the unseen? Only God alone knows beyond the known. He can divinely enable you to hear the unsaid and see the unseen when you accept his lordship, as well as cultivate the habit of relating your every matter with him through prayers. Here is what the Lord says: "Call to me and I will answer you. I will tell you marvelous and wondrous things that you could never figure out on your own." Jeremiah 33 verse 3. The Lord give you understanding. God bless you. Jesus is Lord.
This is Olusegun Ladegbuwa, stretching beyond the temple to reach the lost.